we're going to get into the main topic of our show, which are skills. Division 2 has revealed their skills and how they differentiate from the Division 1. So each skill has a kind of a sub-skill underneath that obviously you can change out from time to time. So we're going to start with the Pulse. Remember the Pulse from Division 1? It works a little bit differently in the Division 2. There are no damage boosts, so no critical hit chance. It does come in 3 variants, which can be accessed by any specialization. The scanner, quite simply, you can scan for enemies, and they'll be displayed on your HUD, making them easier for you and your team to find. The remote scanner, it's a variant on the regular scanner, except that you can throw it, and it'll pulse every few seconds. However, it can be destroyed by hostile NPCs if found. So that's cool. Like, if you're behind cover, throw it around the wall to see where enemies are at. That's a cool skill. Jammer. The Jammer sends out an EMP pulse that will destroy or disable other skill objects and devices in the area. So this is probably something people are going to use a lot in the Dark Zone or PvP in general. So
it'll help destroy enemy turrets or healing stations.
Yeah. So I like the pulse in the first game.
I liked it too, until I got the... Well, actually, no, I used it and the turret. So, yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, because you could use, 2 in the first game? Right? 2 skills?
As far as I remember, yeah.
And then you can kind of alter them as you saw fit, as you progressed. So
yes.
Yeah. The Chem Launcher is our next skill. A grenade launcher-inspired weapon that fires various... ampules of chemicals. Ampules, that's a weird word. Am I saying that right? I don't know. Somebody will correct me. It's fine. Chemicals in an arc. The chemicals disperse in a cloud on impact and linger to cause unique and devastating effects. When equipped, players can choose between 4 different chemical charges. The first one is the Fire Starter. The Fire Starter canister sends out flammable, near-invisible gas. These gas clouds can be ignited with any spark, bullet impacts, enemy firing their weapons inside the cloud, explosions, or even enemies running into them while on fire. If you combine multiple clouds over a large area, you can create a devastating chain of reactions. Sounds like a good time. Set everyone on fire. Let's
I think that was one of the main builds for the turret build.
Yeah.
In Division 1 was having the flamethrower turret, because it would just melt people.
Yeah.
So
there was that one, the shocking one, and and the regular one or whatever.
Yeah, just the regular bullets. Yeah.
So, the second is the Riot Foam. This skill fires a canister with Riot Control foam that disperses on impact. This is the same Riot Foam as you have seen the True Sons use in the E3 demo. The foam is sticky, heavy, and expands rapidly. Anyone affected by the foam is stuck in place for a period of time, but the hardened foam can be destroyed to break them free. So
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, you can kind of freeze your enemies. Kind of almost sounds like that cement mechanic that you get in Infamous Second Son, where you blast them with like that rock formation or whatever. Sounds cool. That was a good game, by the way. I think it's one of the most underrated titles on PS4.
I agree. I think a lot of people hate it just because of the previous 2. But then, I never played the first 2, so when I played it, I was like, oh, this game's awesome. I mean, granted, the story ain't the best in the world, but it's definitely not as shitty as a lot of people argue it to be.
Yeah.
So.
I think
I've experienced the complete opposite. Like, anytime anyone is suggested a game that is a must-have, for PlayStation, it was always that game. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Just a lot of people have, and that was during the time too, because there was a big debate during the time when that came out. Like, people would be like, oh, what's better, either that or Sunset Overdrive, and there was always this big fight between the two, which one was the better game. And because they were compared for what, just because there was minor similarities to them, but just the way you moved around.
They are both great games.
Yeah. Which is
games.
fine, because that means PlayStation has their kind of game like that you can play, and Xbox had their kind of game like that you could play.
That's right.
Yeah, it's not
great games. The Oxidizer. The Oxidizer fires a canister that emits a cloud of corrosive chemicals. The chemical cloud lingers for a long time and efficiently eats away at enemy armor or any mechanical items. So that sounds like something you want to use if somebody has like a riot shield or some sort of like turret. Like it'll probably melt turrets or whatever. So
sit there, fire it, and duck back behind cover till they find you, and let it just eat away at their armor. So you kind of use it as to soften up the enemy before you take them on. That'd be pretty smart too. It could be a viable tactic.
The last is the Reinforcer. The Reinforcer fires a projectile that detonates and disperses an armor repairing cloud. If this powder hits you or your teammates, it restores a small amount to your armor. Powders that stick on the ground grant armor restoration over time. If you have the ability to heal your friends very fast or even yourself over time. So sounds like a good support class thing. So all right, the next skill, the Drone. The Drone, drones hover around your shoulder and follow you around. Depending on the drone, it will remain a passive follower until assigned an order. It can also automatically target enemies and even friends in some cases. There are 5 different categories of drones. The first drone is the Striker. As suggested by the name, this is an offensive version of the drone. Built for combat, the Striker possesses a turret that inflicts continuous damage upon its targets. The drone can receive remote orders from its controller to attack specific targets. So, little helper guy, kind of like kind of reminds me of that turret, or that kind of turret in Borderlands. What was the class then? In
Commando.
Borderlands 2? No, in Borderlands 2 that had the little robot guy that follows you around. The
Necromancer.
Yeah, that one. That was cool. I used that class in Borderlands 2. Defender. The Defender is a defensive drone that protects its owner by utilizing an experimental directed emitter. It deflects incoming bullets with microwave bursts, creating an invisible barrier. However, each bullet deflected greatly drains the battery, and it is incapable of defending itself from enemy fire. It can, however, be ordered to guard friends or other friendly skill items. So, cool.
Nice.
That's cool. Yeah, I was wondering how they were going to do the whole drone thing, like if it was going to be a skill or not. But that explains it.
The Tactician drone is built for intel. This utility drone flies to maximum elevation at a location of your choosing and spots all hostiles it can see, effectively highlighting their location. This sounds like the drone from Ghost Recon, to be honest with you. When deployed, it gives you and your party continuous information about the positioning of your enemies within your area. This is the specialist skill for the sharpshooter specialization only. So, interesting. So this is an in-game drone that sharpshooters will use, apparently. So that's not for me. Man. Jesse knows how great I am at shooting things. Oh, man, I should just stop playing shooters. It's terrible.
Nah.
As
long as you're having fun, have fun.
Yeah.
I do like to have fun. The Bombardier. This drone can perform a bombing run across a long area. The drone flies into an area designated by the player and drops a barrage of explosives as it strafes from one end to the zone to the other. So, pretty basic bomb dropping drone. So that's cool.
Nice.
The Fixer is the last drone. This defensive drone repairs armor over time. You can choose whether you want it to fly next to you and passively repair your armor, or choose a friendly target whose armor needs repairing. So that's cool.
This makes it all sound very, very much like an RPG.
Yeah.
You know, just like, you know, like back in the day of the like, should I heal my friend? Throw a potion at your friend, heal him, jump back.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right, the next skill is the Hive. There seems to be 4 types of Hive. The Hive is a group of advanced micro drones that deliver special effects to their targets. Place or throw the Hive, and it will affect targets within its radius. Most Hive categories are used primarily for defensive, but there are also offensive alternates. So, the Stinger micro drones swarm hostile targets and that enter their range, inflicting damage and targeting weak spots, destroying them efficiently. The Restorer, when the Restorer detects missing armor on a friendly agent in its range, it deploys micro repair drones towards that agent. On impact, the amount of armor is repaired. The Booster sends out microwave drones per friendly player that administers stimulants to increase combat efficiency, boosting weapon handling, movement, and other physical capabilities of an agent. That sounds cool. And then the Reviver. When deployed, the Reviver Hive can revive allies with specific radius on the ground. If any of your downed allies are within the range of your Reviver Hive, you can manually order a set of micro drones to revive them. However, you can also press and hold the button to charge up the micro drones. The longer you hold the button, the more health and armor your allies. The more health and armor your ally revives with. So that sounds like a cool support class drone or Hive.
Yeah.
Sounds like a cool mix of skills so far.
It'll be interesting to see if you can use 2 of the whatever, like you could in 1, and just have a nice blanket coverage if you have a squad of 3 or more.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like that would be cool. Because I think, memory serves me correctly, my character right now is running with the turret and charge station, the Hell Station. Because I think the people I usually run with have the pulse, so I don't need to use the pulse. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll be support. You know, run around with the turret, give us some cover, and throw down the healing if we're hitting some heavies. You know, I mean that'd be pretty cool to see how you can layer your abilities with your squad mates to be able to make yourselves more survivable. That'd be cool. Yeah, that'd be definitely interesting. I'm excited to like mess with that. You know.
Yeah, that's one thing that I kind of hope that they make all those, like, remember, like, you had your skill things, like those, like you had your turret and all that, but then you had those, like, that page of just all these different kinds of skills that you would unlock as you're unlocking parts of each area. Building area. Yeah. And I feel like most of those were like I didn't even use or were just useless. I kind of hope that they maybe shrink it down, but like maybe like have multiple. We'll have like multiple things like kind of bundled into one thing, like to make it more like worth. You know, hey, maybe I should try this. You know, these classes or whatever, these skills with my character and mix them for this group of people that I'm playing with, or like, because I just feel like a lot of that stuff just seemed very like just not very useful. Like it just wasn't anything worth spending the slot on, you know. I kind of hope that they change that in this one and maybe shrink it down to less, but make them all like something worth trying to use out, you know, in certain situations.
Yeah. All right, we got 2 more skills here. The Seeker Mine, a spherical self-propelled ordnance delivery devices will return, but with more features and abilities. The mines use sensors which target hostiles or friendlies as needed to perform various effects. Seeker Mines can be activated by dropping or throwing. Each category offers something new to agents in the Division 2. So we have the explosive. This classic Seeker Mine chases the target designated by the owner and detonates with a staggering explosion. However, It can be avoided as there's a slight arming timer before it explodes. So this is pretty much the same one from the Division 1. Chase down your enemies and boom. The air burst. This mine rolls to your designated area and then launches an explosive burst into the air at head height of the enemy when reaching proximity. So, the Mender, similar to the Reinforcer Chem Launcher, this friendly seeker mine releases repair chemicals. These chemicals form a cloud that repairs your armor or that of an ally. If you do not choose a specific target, for the Mender Seeker Mine, allies that lose all their armor are automatically targeted by the mine. This is a specialist skill for the survivalist specialization only.
Okay.
That's cool. That's kind of like the healing mine in Borderlands 2 for Maya. She would have, like, you could phase lock not mine, but you could phase lock someone and then it would steal health from the enemy that was phase locked and send it to whoever, like everybody if they needed it. If you sucked that bad, sometimes we did, or it would just be like a specific person. So that's pretty cool. That'll be awesome to have. So,
well, and I'm guessing that will be like, because you remember in the first game there was named enemies who basically had those skills as well. So that will basically be like the if the named enemy has the one that shoots the gas bomb that destroys your shield, well then you can use that to repair the damage from that the acid blast thing or whatever. So, like, because I'm guessing they're gonna probably do that again in this one, where the named enemies will have those skills every once in a while. Because I remember the seeker mines for sure were something that were used a lot in the first one by named enemies in the end there. So yeah, it'd be kind of nice just to balance it out.
Yeah. The last seeker mine here we're going to talk about is the cluster. The cluster contains a number of smaller charges in one package, each capable of propelling itself. When deployed, each of the smaller mines picks a target and sets off towards it. However, these smaller mines are easier to avoid as they do not have the room for advanced tracking equipment and cannot adjust their destination if their target moves. So, sounds like you'll be using this if you are going up against a big group of enemies who are hiding and not moving. So it's cool though. It's kind of like the wolf head rounds from Destiny. If you got a rocket launcher with the wolf head rounds, and they just like once the rocket exploded in that game, it let off a bunch of little mini rockets that track the enemies. So
nice.
But the last skill, but not least, is the turret. The turret is a compact, self-unfolding device, which is back for the Division 2. It tracks and shoots designated targets that can be placed next to or thrown a short distance. There's the assault turret, similar to the striker drone. This skill is designed with offensive players in mind. Basically, it'll just shoot. It basically just shoots your target in a 360-degree rotational capacity. So, the second turret is the incinerator. If you enjoy crowd control, this skill is for you. Equipped with an incendiary tank, the incinerator ignites fuel and fires it in a cone to deal area of effect damage. This turret can be toggled on or off when deployed. So basically a flamethrowing turret is pretty much. The artillery turret is a specialized deployable that launches exploding ordnances at locations of your choice. Once firing once per press, shells are launched in an arc at the target position. This is a specialist skill for the demolitionist. So,
nice.
That sounds kind of cool. It almost sounds like that the Colossus javelin and Anthem with the mini nuke launcher.
Yeah,
which is cool. And then the sniper turret. This long-range semi-automatic turret targets the same enemy you are engaging. While there is a slight delay on the target acquisition, the sniper can adjust its aim to match your own and aim on the target. So that's cool.
The turret in the game has always reminded me of Perfect Darks. You know, the that's like a suitcase, and then you throw it, and it turns into a turret.
Gun?
Yeah, the laptop. I mean, yeah, the laptop gun. Because you remember, you could turn it into a turret, and it looks almost exactly like the turret and Division when it folds into it.
Yeah,
that's always reminded me of that game, the turret and Division.
Yeah.
So there is one more skill called the Firefly, which was revealed, but they haven't revealed what it does yet. So we'll probably talk about that on a different episode. But those are our skills for the Division 2. I'm pretty excited to try out some of these. I want to try some of these Chem Launchers. The fire starter sounds cool, and I'm probably gonna use a drone too, because I need all the assistance I can get. I'm not gonna lie. So,
could you imagine running a turret and the drone?
Oh, that'd be cool, though. I mean, if you're confident enough that you're not going to get shot, I mean, why not? You know.
Well, and I wonder if you can, on the fly, you could have it attacking or healing. Well, no, that's right. It's like each drone, like there's one that's just for healing, right?
Yeah.
One that like can heal.
It sounds like something you're gonna have to change in a settings menu almost.
Yeah.
So.
Because it might heal and protect because they said it could heal and protect your other skills like the turret and stuff like that to make it last longer.
Yeah.
So that would be kind of cool, even as just doing something like that.
Yeah. So those are all the skills. I'm probably, I wanted to talk about some of the specializations, but there's not like a lot of information on those yet. I mean, there is, but I want to get more information before we talk about that. And I know that they're going to release some videos this coming week, so we'll probably talk about it next week or the week after. But survivalist it sounds like the healer, which probably something I'm going to be looking at. Because I know I can heal people. It's one thing I know I can do. So that's why I like to watch so much, because I just play Lucio all the time.
Did you guys watch that video about the Dark Zone at all?
Yeah, I watched it.
Okay.
I'm trying to stay in the dark as much as I can about the Division 2, except what we talk about on the show.
Moose is in his own little dark zone.
I am in my own little dark zone because I just want to be surprised. I just want to get in there and be like, oh, that's awesome, and not be like, I've seen this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
I just want to.
Well, for me, it's just like the only thing that I think is kind of unique is just the way that they're trying to combat people camping spawns. As they just basically they're putting up turrets that will lock on people. Like if you're a rogue, it will lock on you and it will just start shooting you until you're dead.
Nice.
You remember the turrets in the final round of the first one, before you go against that helicopter, there's all those turrets that are around, and they basically were like kill you like instantly. Well, there's basically a couple of those at the entryways to the dark zones. And so then that way, if people try to camp those spawns, those things will just take people out that try to camp and just kill people as they're spawning in. So
yeah,
it's interesting, but
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see how that's if they keep it that way or what. But
yeah. Well, anybody have anything else to say about the Division before we get out of here for this week?
Nope.
All right.
I think that's it. I mean, there's a lot to talk about, but it's like I can't think of anything off the top of my head right now that.
I mean, to be fair, we still have like 6 weeks to fill, so.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about, and I'm sure we'll get more too.
Yeah.
Pretty soon here. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But.